Alright everybody, welcome back to Culz Book Reviews. Today we are checking out Witness to Roswell, Unmasking the Government's Biggest Cover-Up by Thomas J. Carey and Donald R. Schmitt. Now this is the 75th anniversary edition, the updated edition that came out for the 75th anniversary of the Roswell Incident that you could get at the 75th anniversary Roswell Festival. Now, I did get mine last year, so I was a little bit behind, but I was able to meet Donald R. Schmitt at the International UFO Museum during the ufologist invasion that they put on during the festival. So without further ado, let's look at the book. Alright, so let's take a look at the cover first. Up top you can see forward by Edgar Mitchell and afterward by George Norrie. And it does give a quote right there from George Norrie. Witness to Roswell, the title. This is the 75th anniversary edition. Right there you got Unmasking the Government's Biggest Cover-Up. And then the authors Thomas J. Carey and Donald R. Schmitt, authors of UFO Secrets, Inside Wright-Patterson. On the side you got 75th Anniversary Edition, Witness to Roswell, Carey and Schmitt, and then new page. And on the back, more quotes from different people, as well as getting you into just a little bit of the background of the incident and a little bit about the authors, as well as the ISBN. So including the afterword by George Norrie, the book clocks in at 254 pages, though there are appendices at the end that I would recommend reading through. There's not very much more past that. It goes about another 15 or so pages, but it does add to the story and give some updates. And here you can see a map showing the crash sites. Now it is a chapter book, obviously it's going to have lots of words, but it does, as you can see there, have pictures throughout when it is pertinent to the story, usually about the people they're talking about, sometimes alien drawings like the one that went past. But yeah, let's get into the book. Alright, so I did take some notes, much like last time, so we'll go over those and then we'll kind of go over my basic thoughts, I guess, on this book. So my first note was that Jesse Marcel and Lieutenant Colonel Sheridan Cavett went to the Brazel Ranch, where the purported debris field was, on July 6th and 7th to inspect the material, which is exciting this year because the festival is the 5th through the 7th. So while we're at the festival, these events were actually happening 77 years ago. On July 6th, they inspected large debris that Brazel had stored in a small livestock shed. I know we had talked in the Roswell Incident book that there was a farmer that pulled debris into a shed, so I guess this kind of backs it up, though it wasn't like an entire UFO, it was just some debris from the fields, which we've been out to Corona. If you guys want to see our early kind of Roswell story where we go out to the Foster Ranch area and you can just see how open it is, click that link above. It's pretty desolate out there. So well, yes, they were inspecting debris on the 6th. They ended up staying the night, and then they rode back out on horseback the next day with Brazel and saw debris field about 3/4 of a mile long. And we've all heard about Wade's Bar, and of course that's where Brazel had first taken the debris in Corona and was kind of showing it because it had the weird qualities of almost looking like tinfoil, but you would scrunch it up into a ball in your hands and it would unfold without creases or anything like that. Now it seems like outside of Wade's Bar, though, there was debris being shown to people at the convenience store around Capitan during the 4th of July parade. So again, super cool because we'll be out in that area around the same time that all this was purportedly happening. So it's very exciting to see some more of these dates. When it gets to the actual saucer, there are said to be 3, at least by this book's research, 3 different locations that were patrolled by the military. Obviously the debris field, which is the most known one. Then there was a site where bodies or extraterrestrial beings, whatever you want to call them, were found and then the third site much closer to Roswell, where the craft was picked up. Now, the craft that was recovered is said to be teardropped in shape. So again, I guess it's kind of like what we would say as a Tic Tac, perhaps, and much less like those kind of hoaxed photos by George Adamski that I think a lot of people picture as a flying saucer today. Now, the book goes over and has a ton of witnesses from people. Jesse Marcel, there's some stuff in there from him or his son, Bill Brazel, and different witnesses to maybe UFO sightings, but more importantly, people that purportedly worked at the Air Force Base in Roswell. And it sounds like the material was flown out or shipped out via train at very different times or different flights. Some of it was actually purportedly flown out a few months later upon an airplane called Up and Atom. And so yeah, there's lots of good stuff in this book. I would recommend it. I think it's much better than the last one we read. The last one, it was cool to read because it is kind of like the Patient Zero in a way, right, where everything kind of comes from, being the first book. But at the same time, there was a lot in it that wasn't related to Roswell towards the end, outside of it just being extraterrestrial. Now this one, even though it is pro that a extraterrestrial vehicle of some sort crashed in the Corona Desert, it doesn't just go blindly into believing all the stories. There's some of them, like we've all heard about the story about the nurse who said she saw the bodies, but you've never been able to find the nurse or who she actually was. The authors here do go into great steps to try to find out who it was, and they also say, because we were given the fake name to, even if he was covering for her, it's no longer valid in a court of law. So they have to unfortunately throw out all of his kind of sayings and witnessing and stories. So they were bummed about that, but I do appreciate that it isn't just like gung-ho on everything, and at least is taking a critical look at it. Now, it is perhaps a little bit over the place, but I'm guessing too that is based on when they were able to interview people. It does follow, I would say, a straight line of something crashes following kind of that situation, that cleanup, and then it jumps to the Air Force and gets some of the stories as far as people guarding what they didn't know what it was. They thought it was perhaps a bomb getting loaded onto the airplane, to people that saw stuff being loaded onto a train. And then there's people that gave their stories as deathbed confessions and signed it that no one was able to open it or read it, barring family discretion, until they had already passed, because they wanted to keep their word to their friends that they had given, that they would not disclose the information of what they saw while they were alive. And so yeah, I think it's a pretty comprehensive look, and probably the best book out there that I've read, at least, on the incident. So I would say, hey, if you want to know more about Roswell and at least hear some of the accounts of what was going on, I would say check this one out. I'd recommend it. Is it going to change any skeptics' minds? I don't know. Probably not. And if you already believe, it probably just builds on that belief. So, but it does sound like at least the authors have gotten a lot of feedback from people with more work in the legal field, being in courtrooms and stuff like that, that said they would at least have a good case and possibly even win some of the cases based on some of the evidence they're able to bring up. And they've been doing a lot of work for a long time, and if there's anyone that's going to know about it, it's these two authors. So hopefully when we go back to Roswell, Donald Schmitt will be there again, and I can pick up another book, or at least talk to him a little bit more. As far as a rating, I would say about 7.5 out of 10. It is really good, and it doesn't ever fall into what I call the UFO kind of conundrum where, man, some of those UFO books are so hard to read because it's just like, I saw something and it disappeared. I saw something, it disappeared for like 200 pages, 300 pages sometimes. This one is different accounts based on a singular event, and as you read them, it helps you kind of piece together a bigger story. And at the end, George Honori does give a afterword and says he feels like it proves that something alien did crash in 1947. So Yeah, I think it was a good book, worth checking out. So, hey, if you guys are in Roswell for the festival and Donald's there, make sure to pick it up, or I'm sure you can pick it up on Amazon or in booksellers nearby. We'll also be in Roswell for the 2024 festival, so if you guys are as well, come say hi. We'd love to meet you. But until next time, guys, for more Culz book reviews, click that link to your left. For more about us here at Culz Paranormal, click that link to your right. And don't forget to hit that like and give us a subscribe. And let us know if you read this book, and if you think there's another book we definitely need to check out about Roswell. Tell us in the comments below.